Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Relationships. What would you do if your significant other thinks the relationship is over because they believe they were your second choice? And that's exactly the situation for our next OP. This one's from user Throwaway987087. Fiance 28 male wants to end our relationship because I, 27 female, didn't choose him first. I'm sorry if this whole thing sounds a little rushed, but my fiance Ryan, who I've been with for 7 years, told me today that he's not sure whether he wants to be with me anymore, and I realize it may sound stupid, but I love him so much. It feels like my world is falling apart around me, and I don't know what I can do. This all started a couple of days ago when we were celebrating our anniversary. We invited a bunch of people, including one of my closest friends, Ellie. She noticed my fiance being affectionate towards me and made some stupid comment about how she told me so, that Ryan would be better for me than my ex, Andy. My fiance was a little confused and asked Ellie what she meant. Back when I was in college, Andy and Ryan both asked me out to the same event. I'd known Ryan since high school and we'd always had a thing, but we weren't a couple. On top of that, he went to another college that was a half-hour drive away from me. Andy went to my college. His dorm was a 5-minute walk away and he was someone completely new. I began to feel like my relationship with Ryan wouldn't be exciting enough because we already knew almost everything about each other, with the added headache of being half-hour away from each other. Despite Ellie's protests, I decided to go with Andy. I know my reasoning is beyond stupid, but I never thought that this decision had the potential to blow up my future. Ryan was already hurt that I declined his request to go on a date. I didn't want to make him feel worse by telling him that I was going with someone else. Not that it mattered because he stopped talking to me for about 6 months. During this time, it became obvious that me and Andy weren't right for each other, so we ended it. When me and Ryan began talking again, I realized how much I missed him and that he was perfect for me, so I asked him out. He was overjoyed, and that's how we got to this point. For the rest of the party, I could tell that his mood was off. He kept pulling away from my kisses and touches and responded to me with short one-sentence answers. After the party, when I asked him what was wrong, he just said he felt sick. For the next 2 days, he continued to be cold and distant. I had no idea what was happening, so I waited patiently for him to become comfortable enough to tell me. Today, he told me the reason he'd been acting off. From the story, it sounded like I had kept him as my backup or plan B in case my relationship with Andy failed, and that it was especially messed up since we'd obviously had feelings for each other long before then. He also said that he deserved to be someone's first choice. I thought that this was just an insecurity that we could get through, but then he went on to say that he's not sure whether he can see our relationship in the same light anymore, so it might be best if we split up. I pleaded with him that we don't need to take it that far and that we should go to counseling or even just live separately for a few days while he thinks about whether this is what he actually wants. So far, he hasn't said anything except that he absolutely refuses to go to therapy. I can tell that this is weighing on him heavily because he's been drinking more than usual, but I don't know what to say to make him feel better. We've had a beautiful relationship. He's never been overly jealous or possessive, and although neither of us are perfect, I couldn't ask for a more loving, respectful, intelligent, and charming soon-to-be husband. I don't understand how all of that could come to an end for a foolish mistake that I made 7 years ago. I don't know exactly what I'm looking for by posting on here, but if anyone has any advice, please let me know. Edit. I think I may have messed up on my wording. He doesn't care I dated someone else before him. It bothers him that I had the choice between him or Andy, and I chose Andy. So before we move on with the updates, let's check out one community comment and then we'll move on. Aurelius says, his position is that if he had all the information, he would never have chosen you. As in, had he known, it never would have gotten off the ground. You didn't say no to him earlier because you weren't ready or you were concerned about the distance. You said no because you wanted to be with someone else more, and that he would not handle, and admittedly, I get it. To him, this is finding out the beginning of the relationship, the bedrock, the story of why you came together is a lie. It's false. Your relationship story is important. It's what gets you through the tough times and makes sure you always come together through that. It's what makes you choose to love each other every day. Well, for him, that story is now dead. It's just a fabrication. I agree. I do believe that OP's boyfriend has felt like he was lied to, because he kinda was. Also, OP refers to her choosing Andy over Ryan as a mistake she made 7 years ago. That's the wrong wording. It's not mistake, it's making the wrong decision. A mistake is involuntary, like dialing the wrong number or posting something on Facebook you didn't mean to because you just pressed the wrong button. That's a mistake. Choosing to be with someone over another person, that's not a mistake. That's a decision. And OP, you need to own up to it. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Alright, let's move on with the update to see how this story continues. So, a few people have asked for an update. It's been a little over 2 weeks now, so I'm not sure if anyone is even interested anymore. I think for now, I'm just confused about what's happening. If anyone has any advice or has some idea of what he's thinking, please tell me. After what happened in the last post, he said that we should put off the wedding while we decide how to proceed. That means something, right? He used the exact words put off instead of cancel, and while we decide how to proceed. I think that means he hasn't decided that we should break up yet. Maybe he'll just decide not to get married, but to continue our relationship. I don't think he's ready to give up our relationship yet, but he's moved into a hotel. I know some people have told me to give him space, but I've decided that even if a part of him is willing to stay with me, I'm going to do everything I can to give me another chance. I've been dropping off food, leaving notes under his door, and we've been calling every day, sometimes twice a day. Right now, we're both stuck in limbo. Most of the time, we talk about how much we miss each other, the plans we had, and me convincing him that he's my soulmate and that regardless of whatever happened with Andy, I know we would have ended up together. Then, there are other moments where he calls in the middle of the night, having obviously been crying and asking questions like, what did he have that I didn't? Did you love him? Was he better in bed? Was he better looking than me? Do you still think he's better looking than me? What does more exciting mean? Do you wish he gave you another chance? He says that he wants to be with me desperately, but when he thinks about me, it's seared into his mind that I was always his first choice, but he will always have been my second. It hurts him that we had feelings for each other all the way through high school, but the moment I met Andy, none of that meant anything anymore, which must have meant I thought Andy was worth my time and he wasn't. It breaks my heart to hear him holding back his tears and trying to cry silently, but I swear I'll do anything to save our relationship, and part of that means not hiding anything from him. I've begged him to reconsider going to therapy, but he absolutely will not budge. Some of our mutual friends are saying that they're not sure if he'll recover from this, but I don't care. He hasn't told me to stop trying, so I'm not going to. I wish to God that I could go back and change the past because I love him more than anything, including myself. It feels like I'm in some sort of surreal nightmare. Less than a month ago, we were lying in bed fighting over which of us got to name our kids, and now a seemingly insignificant mistake that I made 7 years ago might wipe away the beautiful future I want with Ryan. All I can do right now is be there and hope that he can give me another chance, but I don't know what he's thinking. I know this isn't a common relationship problem, but if anyone has anything they can give me, whether it's advice or even reassurance that things are going to work out, please tell me. Edit. He called an hour ago. Some of his friends found this Reddit post and showed it to him, so he called angry, asking why I would tell strangers about our personal problems. And how is he supposed to face his friends and family now after they all know that the only reason I'm with him is because Andy broke up with me? After reading the comments, he realized that it wasn't right for him to keep me in the dark for so long without making a decision. He's decided that we should go our separate ways so that I can decide whether it really is him that I want to be with and that he wasn't just the convenient choice. For now, I can't describe how I'm feeling. It's like I'm so tired I just want to go to sleep forever. I know some of you have the impression that he's a horrible man, but this was just a small fragment of our relationship and doesn't reflect who he is as an individual in the slightest. He's the guy who spent days learning about my major on top of his own studies so that he could help me study for exams and proofread my coursework. He spent thousands of his own hard-earned money to give my parents their dream vacation to Australia and insisted that I say I paid for it because they'd feel bad taking money from him. When my ex threatened to leak nudes that I'd sent him when we were together, I was terrified that he would leave. He took me out to my favorite restaurant and said that there was nothing anyone else could do or say that would ever affect how much he loves me. And then he asked me to marry him so I'd never have to worry about him leaving ever again. My fiancé is the best man that I've ever known, and the assumptions that everyone here has made from hearing about such a small part of our lives is disgusting, and I didn't come here for people to convince me that he's immature, insecure, or any of that. I should have known better than to post here, but all I can hope for now is that he sees this. A letter to my fiancé. I don't know what I can say to make this better, and I don't know if you'll be able to heal from this. What I can say is that you are wrong in thinking that I chose you out of convenience. I chose you because you are the most thoughtful, handsome, intelligent, and charming man that I've ever known. Every single moment that we've had together for the last 7 years, every kiss that we've shared, every bagel that we split, and every I love you that I've said was meant for you and was an affirmation that you are and always will be my first choice. I don't believe that you want to cut our lives together short. I think that you were trying to heal from the consequences of a mistake that I made, and then I inadvertently set a fire underneath you by forcing you to come to a decision by making this post. Take as long as you need to do whatever it is you need to do to heal from this, and I'll be here waiting for when you're ready to talk. If you decide that this is something that we cannot overcome, I would accept your decision, but I know we are stronger than this. I love you so much. Edit 2. I know this is starting to get really long, but he read my open letter and got in contact with me to say that he's not promising anything except that he'll listen. He still refuses to see a therapist because he doesn't view our relationship as strong enough that there's anything to salvage right now. However, some people here have expressed that they wish they could give him advice directly, and I've convinced him to talk to others who have experienced this and healed from it. Okay, well now OP's boyfriend is aware of everything, even the opened letter, which was a very nice letter. Still, for me, OP is not owning up to what she did. Let me quote her post so I get it right. Quote, "And now a seemingly insignificant mistake that I made 7 years ago, blah blah blah." And then again in her letter she says, "I think that you were trying to heal from the consequences of a mistake that I made." And again, you didn't make a mistake, OP. You made a decision. You chose Andy over Ryan. And I am not going to mention this point again in the video. Alright, now let's move on to the final update. Before I get into the update, I want to say that I asked my fiancé boyfriend before posting this, and he said it's fine as long as I don't give away any details that could reveal us to more of our friends and family. I've always been the type of person who values other people's input when it comes to making big decisions, and he knows that. A lot has happened since the last update. After we spoke, he went completely quiet for around 2 weeks for time to think. The waiting was almost unbearable, but he promised that as soon as he had an answer for me, he would contact me. I wasn't allowed to come to his hotel to drop off food, try to see him, or any sort of contact. When he finally called, the first thing that he established was that our relationship was over. However, Despite our relationship ending, he still wants to be with me. If I still want to be with him, we can restart our relationship completely from the beginning, with the board wiped clean. In his own words, while you look back at our relationship and see something wonderful, I look back at it in disgust because you lied by omission every single day. Initially, I was ready to agree on the spot, but he insisted that I take the week to decide whether I really want this. His logic is that if I choose to restart our relationship from the beginning, he will be my first choice. Later on in the week, it began to settle what this would mean. I would go from fiancé back to girlfriend. I don't know when he is going to propose again. I don't want children until we're married, so I don't know how long that's going to be. In short, it would completely throw off the life plans we had. I asked for a little more time and he doesn't want me to resent him in the future, so agreed to give me as much time as I needed to come to a decision. This is a better outcome than I expected and maybe better than I deserve, but I would be lying if I said that I don't wish things could go back to normal. I've decided that I'm going to agree to starting over. It just really hurts that the past 7 years don't mean anything anymore. Not long ago we celebrated our 7th anniversary, but this time next year we'll be celebrating our 1st anniversary again. Well, OP, you got what you wanted. He didn't terminate the whole thing, he just stepped back and reset the clock. I'm not gonna give my opinion again because you guys know exactly what I think about this whole situation. So why don't you guys tell me what you think in the comment section, and now we're gonna move on to the next story. What would you do if you saw one of your friend's significant others cheating on them? And as you've probably guessed already, that's the situation for our next OP. This one's from user throwaway 47483993. I, 27 male, told my friend 30 male that his girlfriend, 27 female, was cheating on him, and he didn't believe me. This is an effed up situation, and I just want his friendship back. I'm also going to use names so it gets less confusing. Basically, I caught my friend's girlfriend, Candace, cheating on him. I went to a pub and she was there, making out with another guy. She saw me, looked scared as crap, and ran away. I followed her and said that if she didn't tell him what she did, I would. She begged me not to and that it was a misunderstanding. But F it, they've been dating for 8 years now. My friend deserved to know. Well, a week went by and nothing happened. Their relationship was the same and he had no clue about the betrayal. I knew she wasn't going to tell him, so I did. I had a serious talk with him and I told him she had cheated on him. At first, he thought it was a prank, but when he realized I was being serious, he didn't believe me. He accused me of trying to destroy their relationship due to the fact I'm gay, saying I had feelings for him. Huh? I was really hurt by what he said, so I told him to F off and left. He didn't even try to stop me and apologize. I'm not waiting for an apology, but seriously, what can I do in this situation? He's planning on proposing. After 8 years, they're going to get married and she's effing cheated on him. Is there any way I can make him believe me? Pretty straightforward situation. So let's take a look at 3 community comments and then we're gonna go for the update. Jman8497 says, "That's the way these things go. You've done your part. Now leave it." Project Directory says, "She probably used the time you gave her to poison him against you. Cheaters often only really care about narrative control. You did the right thing." And Lana Bananas says, "You've done what you can. Now it's his problem." Update. Here I am again with good news. I went back to the pub and told the manager, "Yo, I really need that surveillance footage, mate. My buddy's girlfriend was making out with another guy and you need to help me, you know?" He of course agreed and asked me on a date afterwards. I'm taken, so I obviously said no, but I did show the footage to my friend who dumped his girlfriend. Just kidding. I went back to the pub and politely asked the manager for footage of that night. He agreed to show me, yay! And then I showed it to my friend. I left a really big tip and I want to give a shout out to a username I can't read for the idea. Thanks! My friend was devastated. Of course, he had been dating Candice for 8 years, but he said, "I knew you weren't lying, I just couldn't accept it." He also apologized deeply for bringing up my sexuality, and after a long talk, I decided to forgive him because I understand that he was in a bad place. He dumped his girlfriend. Thanks for all the advice, r/relationships, heart heart heart. Well, that was a very short story that ended the right way. Candice getting dumped because of a misunderstanding, like she so eloquently put it. I really dislike cheaters because they cheat, of course, but also because they're cowards. They have zero accountability, they never own up to what they did, and they always try to shift blame to somewhere else. Deplorable behavior. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? And so we've reached the end of the video. I truly hope you guys liked it. If you did, go ahead and click like. Of course, don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Also, here are more videos from my channel that you might enjoy. And having said all that, I will see you guys on the next video.